Sup, y'all? It's me. It's your boy Asmongold, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the new YouTube guidelines. Now, I didn't even know about this until a couple of hours ago. I had a guy from my stream, Perry, link me a picture about this, and I talked about it a lot on my stream, but I figured since this is a YouTube channel and most of my content is YouTube, I would make a video about it and tell you guys pretty much how I feel. Now, afterwards, after my stream, I looked on Twitter and I saw that the hashtag YouTube is over party was trending at #1, okay? So if that gives you guys any sort of an indication about how people feel about this. Now, I don't necessarily think this is going to end YouTube, but depending on how stringently they enforce these rules, I wouldn't really be surprised. So anyway, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off what the changes are, and I'm going to talk about kind of how we got to where we are right now, and also where I think this is going to go. So before I'm just going to read these off one by one. I'll just talk about each bullet point, but first I'm just going to read them off and pretty much just look at them, and you guys will see it on the screen as well. Content that is considered inappropriate for advertising. Content that is considered, in quotes, not advertiser friendly. And I want you guys to focus on that word advertiser because that is where all of this is coming from. Includes, but is not limited to, sexually suggestive content, including partial nudity and sexual humor, violence, including display of serious injury, and events related to violent extremism. Inappropriate language, including harassment, profanity, and vulgar language. Promotion of drugs and regulated substances, including selling, use, and abuse of such items. Controversial or sensitive subjects and events, including the subjects. This is the very contentious point here, including subjects related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown. So that has a caution thing right down here below. If any of the above describes any portion of your video, then the video may not be approved for monetization. If monetization is approved, your video may not be eligible for all available ad formats. YouTube reserves the right to not monetize a video, as well as suspend monetization features on channels that repeatedly submit videos violating our policies. Well then. Huh, wow. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go through every single bullet point, and I'll talk to you guys. Actually, let's do that after this. Where is all of this coming from? And I also want to say something right now. People are saying that this is a byproduct of PC culture, political correctness culture. Sexually suggestive content, sexual humor, I guess sexual humor could be, inappropriate language, like profanity, drugs, and like subjects related to war, and that kind of stuff. That doesn't necessarily fall in any category under the political correctness spectrum, unless you look at it from a certain perspective. So I'm not really going to say that this is coming out of any sort of political correctness culture, although I don't like that. I do want to say right now that I do believe that almost all of the political correctness has been encroaching recently onto the internet is, I believe, driven by advertising. Pretty much everything on the internet, like people aren't making websites, they're not curating websites all day, every day for nothing, right? They have to make money, so they make money through ads. And so if an advertiser, if like somebody doesn't like something that somebody has like a KKK website, right? KKK website, and somebody sees this and they see advertisements for, let me think of an example, like Coca-Cola or like Ford or something like real basic company. They will send a message to Coca-Cola or Ford and they will say, take your ads off of this. Why are you supporting and enabling a racist, right? Then Coca-Cola will turn around and go to Google or YouTube or wherever they're advertising from, and they will say, why are our ads showing up on KKK and other different websites that basically make our brand look bad? I think one thing you guys have to realize here is that most companies are what you would call amoral. They're not moral, they are not immoral, they are amoral. They have no morals, they focus on doing what is best for the company, and that's how it should be. Also, companies in a lot of ways are, in a lot of circumstances, increasingly less recently, that I'm not a big fan of, but companies are, for the most part, conflict avoidant. They don't really get involved in political issues. They don't really get involved in social issues or anything like that. And, of course, like, you do have companies like cashing in, like, whenever there's like some big, like, social thing that happens, companies say, oh yeah, we support this all along, this is great, give us brownie points, right? But ultimately, companies don't really do that. They very, very rarely do that. And I think that that's really what's driving all of this this internet, what you would maybe call censorship. Obviously, I do want to also make one thing very clear. This is not really an issue on the First Amendment or freedom of speech or anything like that, because it's not the government, right? It could be, it is an issue on the ideal of freedom of speech, of the ideal of freedom of discourse, on the ideal of the marketplace of free ideas, the free marketplace of ideas. That you can make an argument for it, but it's not against the law. So don't say that. Anyway, the way that I feel about this is that I think this is a very, very, very it's a bad step for YouTube. There's a reason why the hashtag is called YouTube is over party. I think that it's been a long time overdue that YouTube has a competitor. YouTube right now, I think, is very much driven for making money for YouTube and not really, it feels to me, at least as a content creator, that YouTube does not really care a whole lot about content creators. I've never really spoken to anybody really from YouTube. I haven't really had a lot of help from them, and I think a lot of other people feel the same way. You had like the whole thing about like 6 months ago or whatever with like people, was it like doing content ID claims even when things are fair use and everything like that. So just in general, recently, YouTube has, at least in a lot of ways, let down a lot of their creators. And ultimately, creators like YouTube is a creator-generated website. It's basically a social media website. And so if you don't have any people there, if you don't have people creating content, you don't have any content for the website, right? YouTube itself doesn't really make any videos. I think it probably does, but not really. So in a lot of ways, I think that this is one more nail in the coffin for YouTube. I don't really know what's going to happen, but what I do want to draw a parallel to is, remember whenever YouTube came out with YouTube Gaming. Now, if you guys don't know what YouTube Gaming is, I'm not surprised, because it was basically DOA, Dead on Arrival, because I think that the best way to describe the way that YouTube Gaming worked is, and how it went over, is that somebody got a strike against their YouTube channel for streaming a game with in-game music because the in-game music was copyrighted, and the content ID system automatically detected that and punished their channel. So YouTube Gaming just didn't really go too well. There was a lot of hype around it, and it was basically, in my opinion, it was probably like one of the biggest disasters pretty much ever. It's like, I mean, it might have been worse than the Dragon Ball Z movie or something like that. It was just terrible. And I think that a lot of the reasons for that is like Twitch, I really do think that Twitch does a very, very good job going to bat for their partners. Obviously, Twitch has done stupid stuff in the past that I don't agree with, but for the most part, Twitch really tries to make sure that their broadcasters feel like they're cared about. That's the way that I feel, and I'm not even a partner. So I definitely feel like Twitch really has the upper hand there. And I think that this, the fact that Twitch was so successful with what it does, and then YouTube Gaming tried to come in, and they had all of these extra rules and everything like that, and they weren't successful at all, shows that I would say that we're moving into what I'm going to call, I guess, like the third age of content creation on the internet. Now, the first age was from by the time the internet began all the way up until probably like 2004, 2005, right? And back then, you didn't really make any money through like your videos or anything like that. Videos were all like really shitty quality. Like basically everything sucked about videos back then. Like you had like the Numa Man. You had a bunch of other like basically shitty videos on the internet. And then in about 2005 and a little bit later than that, YouTube implemented their, what was it called? Their partnership program, and that was the first program. And then there were a lot of other programs that came out like that, where people were able to make a real, sustainable, and in a lot of ways, a stable and solidified and real amount of money from YouTube from creating videos. And so that allowed people to make their job creating videos. And that was the second era of the internet. And in about 2011 or 2012, I guess like just how common ad block is, and how common everything else is, like ad block and things that block ads and stuff like that, is also like people complaining to advertisers. You see less and less. I guess like advertising is less and less stable. Back in the day, you could always sell ads on a website, but now, since there's a lot of stuff like that, like the people complaining about like why are you supporting racists and stuff like that, companies don't want to deal with that. They just want to get their ads off that person. They don't care about that person. All they want to do is make sure that their company brand doesn't look bad. So that's pretty much what's happening. And I think that the more that happens, because at this point, like something can be offensive to everyone, right? And I do want to also talk about that in a couple of minutes whenever I look at the different bullet points here. Something can be offensive to everyone. And so you don't really know, what is really going to, it's like in a lot of places in the world, it's offensive to even see a woman's face if you're not part of her family or her husband, right? That's not really, that shouldn't even be on television. So there are people in the world who think that. So there's crazy thinking. There are people that you shouldn't be talking about anything that's very conservative, anything that's very liberal. And then outside of the socio-political spectrum, there are a lot of other things that are similar to that as well. So what I believe is happening is that we're moving into a third era of internet content creation. And I think that Twitch is probably one of the first websites to really fully capture and fully facilitate this, I guess, like this third era. And this third era is going to be dominated mostly not by advertising, but by crowdfunding and people funding people that they like, right? And you have already seen this with Patreon. So if you look at Twitch, let's go ahead and look at the breakdown of how much money people get from Twitch. And this is from people that I know, people I've talked to, and also things that I've read online. 45% of it is donations. 45% of it, another 45% is subscriptions, right? So somebody subscribes to your channel, that's $2.50, $3, whatever your contract is. And so those two things right together are 90% of the money that you get. And 90% of the money that you get has nothing to do with advertisers. It does nothing to do with them. Then the last 10%, and sometimes it's even less, of money that you get each month, that's from the ad views. And a lot of people, I think Reckful does this, he doesn't even have commercials on his channel at all. And there are a lot of people who do that, and there are a lot of reasons for that. CPM, cost per mile, that's the amount of money that you get per 1,000 views on your ad. And CPC, cost per click, that's how much you obviously get paid whenever somebody clicks your ad, has been progressively going down over the years. The amount of money that I made as a content creator in 2014 per 1,000 views was almost double what I make now. Now, I make more now because I get so many more views, but at the same time, it's still a lot less per view. And the reason for that is because obviously the advertisers they're holding all the cards. So all the chips are on their side of the table. If they don't want to advertise on a video, people have to do that because there's no other way for them to make money. And that's why I'm thinking that this is one of the new first steps that we're going to see towards moving towards that third era of internet content creation, where most things are crowdfunded and fan funded. And you've got Patreon. You've got subscriptions on Twitch. You've got donations on Twitch. I don't really know if DeviantArt and the other stuff, I don't really know how people pay for furry porn, right? I have no idea. But the point is that obviously a lot of stuff... is that against the terms? Oh, it might have been. Yeah. Sexually suggestive content? Yeah, could be it. Anyway, make sure to report me. Don't actually. Anyway, let me go ahead and go through each of these bullet points, and I'll talk to you guys about the way I feel about and... different, elements of each one. Okay, sexually suggestive content, including partial nudity and sexual humor. So, a lot of people could say that this is even if you want to look at this from a very politically correct standpoint, you could say that sexually partial nudity is like slut shaming or something like that. And I don't subscribe to any of that stuff, but that is something that somebody could say. Also, on top of that, how many rap songs? How many Little John, Little Wayne, like Birdman, like Eazy-E if you want to get, old school with it, Ice Cube, Ice-T, G-Eazy if you want to get new school. No, I don't. But all those songs have tons of sexual suggestive content, tons of sexual humor, tons of partial nudity, especially if it's the, what do you call it? The music videos. Now, even if you think that those aren't sexually suggestive, look at a band like what's it called? I don't really remember what are they called? The Bloodhound Gang. Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilo. Like every song in that whole what is it? Hefty Fee, I believe. I don't remember what the album is called. Every song had to do with sex, right? And so are they going to take all of the Bloodhound Gang songs off the internet and demonetize all of those? It's just kind of insane, right? Because that's okay for TV, but now it's not okay for YouTube. Like, come on. Next one here. Violence, including display of serious injury and related to violent extremism. All right, we're pretty much all on the same page with that. That can stay on Live Leak. Okay. I don't really like the fight videos either. I like watching them, right? Like fucking World Star, right? But you don't necessarily have to have them on YouTube. I can understand why somebody wouldn't want to have their advertisements around that. Next one here, inappropriate language, including harassment, profanity, and vulgar language. Ultimately, like they have, like obviously I have a big problem about this because I think that the idea of getting offended by a certain word is inherently childish, because it implies that other people have to control what they do and what they say around you, even if it's not necessarily towards you. Just like hearing that invokes a sort of emotional reaction that you can't control, and because you can't control it, somebody else has to control what they say. I really don't like that whole idea, and I think it's really childish. But I can see why they obviously want to do that, especially at some level, right? At some level, it does get like a little bit over the top. Like I don't say the N-word on my stream. I don't say anything like that. I don't say it on my YouTube videos or anything like that. But at a certain level, like saying like ass or like shit or fuck or something like that, that's not really a big deal, and that's been online for the longest time, right? And the harassment part, obviously, like no real brand, no YouTube even doesn't want to have their website devolve into usually harassment and like roasting videos and everything like that, unless it's two guys that are kind of on the same page and they're just going back and forth because they think it's fun. Like I do with like McConnell on my stream and stuff. That's just, it's negativity, right? And I understand why they would want to keep that off of YouTube, especially with like how prevalent doxing is and things like that happen on the internet carrying over to real life. YouTube wouldn't want to have themselves be held liable for having a video up on their website that enabled somebody or gave somebody the idea to harass somebody else in real life. It kind of makes sense, even from a legal perspective. And next one here, promotion of drugs and regulated substances, including selling, use, and abuse of such items. So, promotion of drugs and regulated circumstances. So if you look at promotion, what really defines promotion? Is promotion if somebody is smoking weed in a video? Is promotion if somebody says you should smoke weed? Is promotion, if saying that you should drink? I don't necessarily know where the line is drawn here. And also, you can look at like where drugs are legal in some countries and not in other countries. And even in the United States, where YouTube is based and most of their content and their ideology. And I think that you have to agree to U.S. arbitration whenever you sign a YouTube partnership contract, but I'm not sure. It's even different in those different countries, in those different states. Sorry. In Colorado, you can smoke weed and it's fine, but if you do that in Texas, where I'm at, you're going to go to fucking jail, right? I'm not a big fan of that either way, but that's just the reality. And so, like, regulated substances, like, how is this necessarily going to be enforced? What does this necessarily mean? And now we're going to get down to number 5, which is, in my opinion, and apparently a lot of other people's opinion, the most contentious element of all 5 of these: controversial or sensitive subjects such as events, including subjects related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown. So, like you could say, people, they might not want to have videos on YouTube for monetization, shows like people jumping out of the buildings in September 11th or something like that. But I don't necessarily think that somebody should not be able to make a video and have that monetized. And again, like, this is all like my own opinion. Like, it's all up to the advertisers and up to YouTube, right? I don't really care, but this is my opinion. I don't really think that somebody should be censored. And YouTube should probably stand up for their content creators, because they're what makes their website exist. Without the content creators, the website would be nothing. And that's why YouTube Gaming was nothing, is because there was already a better alternative, Twitch TV, and everybody was already either over there or it went over there instead, because YouTube had too much controls and they didn't offer the same type of broadcaster incentivization. So including subjects for your tour. I mean, are they gonna demonetize all of the Fox News videos, all the CNN videos? Like, I mean, so you can't talk about like the Iraq War, what happened back then, or you can't talk about Syria now. You can't talk about any like socio-political stuff. It seems like they want every video to be, like unboxing videos for like 6-year-olds' toys or something like that, and I really dislike that approach, and I think that once, as I said before, once you start looking and censoring out things that are offensive, you can look at this from a common sense perspective and say, okay, no porn, no extreme racism, no super like crazy like sexism or anything like really, really bad, right? Anything really, really bad, you just rule all that stuff out and everything else is fine. That's like kind of common sense rules, and that's what YouTube has basically had. But now, this is not common sense. This is really not common sense. This is over the top. That's the way that I feel, and especially with number 5. Like, well, you can't talk about political conflicts. Like, if I can't say that, oh, I disagree with what Donald Trump is doing. I disagree with what Hillary Clinton is doing. I'm gonna vote for some random. I'm gonna vote for Vermin Supreme so I can get a fucking pony. Right? I mean, am I gonna get my shit shut down for that? Like, I mean, come on, guys. It's ridiculous. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to get at here. It seems like YouTube is disconnected from its audience, it's disconnected from its creators, and it's disconnected from what it's really meant there to do. It's meant there to share ideas, to share content, and to share experiences. And I think that the more times that they use this stuff to try and dissuade people, because let's be honest, I mean, like, if you can't advertise on YouTube, that's going to dissuade a lot of people from making videos about those types of things. To dissuade people from using YouTube to do that kind of stuff. Now, that's basically what I feel, and where do I go from here? Personally, I'll pretty much keep doing what I do, and until something happens, right? And if something happens, then I'll go from there. I'll change what I do, and then that'll be it, right? I'd always adapt. What is it? The Charles Darwin quote. It's not the strongest of species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the species most able to adapt to change. And if that change is moving to a different platform, then that's what I'll have to do. If that change is demonetizing my videos and doing like a Patreon instead of ad content, I could maybe do that. Whatever it is, I'll keep doing what I'm doing in one facility or another, and I want you guys to know that. I like making videos. I've always made videos. I made videos whenever I wasn't getting ad revenue for it, and I'm always going to do it no matter what. Obviously, if I wasn't getting money for it, I wouldn't be able to devote as much time to it, because we live in a society that you have to make money somehow in order to justify a large percentage of your time. Unfortunately, right? I don't know. I wish Obama would just send me a fucking check every month, but I've been waiting, and it's been 8 years and it hasn't come. So I don't think it's going to, especially not with Hillary or Trump or Gary Johnson, okay? So that's the way that I feel about it. Anyway, I think this is very disappointing. I've always loved YouTube. I've always loved videos, making videos online, and I feel like this is opening them up for demise, really, and that's why the YouTube is over party thing is happening. Basically, everybody is speaking out about this. This is very unfriendly towards creators, and I don't really know where it's going to go. I think that you could possibly, if you want to get, I don't have a tinfoil hat with me, but I could get one. I could put on, and I could say YouTube is doing this so they can. It's like kind of the old thing where you argue to the most extreme, and then you scale back to what you originally wanted, and people think that you're being more moderate. They did that with a lot of different things, and I think they did that with Reddit a while ago, and they've done that with a lot of things as well. It's also like one different way of trying to make a deal. It's like you try and argue for like 60%, even if you're trying to get 50, right? So you can negotiate down to that. And YouTube could be doing that. We don't really know, right? I'm not a wizard, right? Unfortunately. And so anyway, guys, that's kind of the way that I feel about it. It's a really big disappointment, and I really hope that YouTube gets their head out of their ass and starts actually sticking up and standing up for the ideal of freedom of speech, not freedom of speech, the ideal of freedom of speech, and the idea that bad ideas, should be able to be shot down with good ideas, not with censorship. And this is over the top. I believe it is over the top, and we'll see what happens. I will adapt. I will change if I have to. Don't worry. But that's pretty much the way that I feel about it. Let me know what you guys think. I'm very curious. I think this video could have gone on a little bit too long. It did. That's all right. I had a lot to say. Hopefully you guys didn't get too bored. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I got. Again, let me know what you think, but thank you for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.